Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. We want to thank you guys for tuning in on this evening. We're going to pick up with part two of interview with Brandon. If you missed the week before last, you missed a treat. We won't go back over all of the questions. You'll just have to go back and rewatch the broadcast or go listen to it on WJMS radio. Say hello to the people,
Hello, everyone. How you doing?
Brandon. All right. Well, we're actually just going to go ahead and jump right in. As I stated, we had interviewed Brandon. Well, I interviewed Brandon week before last on our broadcast, and we're going to just ask him to just tell us a little bit about, maybe about himself, about In the Blender. Is this something that he always had a desire to do, or what motivated him to actually want to be a part of In the Blender broadcast?
It's a whole
So
lot in
go
there.
ahead.
Give me part by part on that.
Okay, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Mm.
Wow, she asked me about a 50 question.
No, it really wasn't.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, most of you guys know me. Well, some of you guys know me, some of you don't. But my name is Brandon Hyman, and I have the awesome pleasure of being married to this young lady for almost 24 years, Madeline Hyman, and we are a blended family, hence In the Blender. And so it's just something that I realized that it's more of a calling for me than something to do. I'm always been a helper, even from a little kid. I've always been a helper. I've always wanted to see people advance and succeed in life, and most of all in families. You know, everybody growing up, well, most people growing up, they have this ideal of the image of a family that they wanted or they would desire. And so, the reality is for a lot of us, that's not the case. But it can be the case within that dynamic. And what I realized early on when we got married was I didn't have a lot of tools readily accessible to me or to us that we can go to and get instruction, that we can go to and get clarity. Now, I've had some examples. Let me be clear on that. I had some excellent examples from a father point of view, from a man's point of view, from a husband point of view, in the blended family, but it wasn't something to the degree where I could go to them and, hey, what do you think about this? Or they even came to me and said, you know what, you guys need to consider that. Okay. Because, 20 years ago, blended families were taboo. Not that they weren't a reality, but people never really talked about blended families to that degree. And so even I remember when we got, when we decided that we were going to join forces, and our counseling was, do you love him? Do you love her? And that was it. I mean, we didn't get any instruction as it relates to a blended family, what we should and shouldn't do, things we should implement, things we should look out for, a roadmap, a guideline, an outline. We didn't have any of that. And so I just felt like, man, why isn't that there? Why aren't people talking about, because I grew up around blended families. So it wasn't like it was a dynamic that I was foreign to, but I realized that nobody really was attacking the blended family. And what I mean by that was nobody was really talking about how to be successful in a blended family. Because there are so many nuances and dynamics and pieces and everything that makes up a blended family.
Yeah.
And there's not one blended family that's like another. And so it was like, and Madeline and I remember we were having conversations like, wow, wow, I wish we'd have known that. We said it about ourselves. Like, I wish we'd have known, what to do if this came up or what to do if that came up. And so it was one of those things where I knew that, okay, this is what we should be doing. Mm-hmm. This is what, and literally, probably that first year, we really started doing in the blended. Not to this degree. Don't right. let me be clear on that. Not to this degree, but we were literally year one ministering and encouraging and building up families. Even while ours was in disarray, even while our family was going through hell and high water and whatever else you want to call it, even during that time, we still saw the need to be there, to be for others what others weren't for us. Correct. And so I hope that answered at least a part of what you were asking.
It did. It did. Yes, you've explained that. So let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. What is one thing, or maybe a couple things?
Okay, okay, you're gonna interview me, but I want this to be a natural interview. And don't interview me off a piece of paper. Interview me.
But that's what my questions are. So I am talking to you, but I'm interviewing you off of questions that I have for you. How else do you do an interview? You don't randomly just think of questions. I mean, you can, but I have everything already mapped out what I want to ask you. So I'm interviewing you. You on my show tonight. Okay, here we go. So what is one thing in your venture of in the blender that was or is a
Cindy.
success that you didn't expect?
What was?
Yeah, like what's one thing that's been a success that you didn't even expect it to be?
That's a good question, but the answer to that is nothing.
Explain that. What you mean by that?
I mean, because I don't do things expecting to fail. And and there are things that we do that may not the end result may not be what we intended on it to be, but whatever I'm doing, I'm expecting to win. I'm expecting to succeed. When we decided to become one, I came in this with an expectation that I was going to be a good husband. I was going to be a good father. I was going to be a good whatever I needed to be to have a successful family. I came with that expectation. Now, it didn't start off that way. No, it didn't. There were a lot of things that I had to learn, and I literally had to just mature. I had to grow up in a lot of areas, and I'm still growing. But as far as successes, man, I came in this thing, even when I wasn't succeeding, in my mind, I was a success. Even when I wasn't all that I should be or could be, in my mind, I still was a success because I wasn't going to take. Let me go back. If you look at it from a natural standpoint, I failed once.
And what do you mean
by meaning that this wasn't my first go around.
Okay.
I was married before, I got a divorce, and here I was with another opportunity to make it.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so if you look at it from that standpoint, because some people look at that as failure.
Yeah.
I didn't look at that as failure. It was learning. I learned some things. I learned what to do, what not to do, the whole 9 yards. I learned a lot because I'm a student as well as a teacher. but I'm a student first.
Mhm.
So I'm always in learning mode.
Right.
And so going through those things, I learned some nuances. I learned some things that, hey, don't do this, don't do that. Now, as it relates to the family, I didn't have a family. It was just me and my ex-wife. Then at the end, my son was born, but that was at the end.
Mhm.
So it wasn't even like I had an opportunity to even raise him. So as far as the family dynamic go, I was clueless.
Mhm. So was that a challenge for you, would you say,
Oh, it
when
was a
you
huge challenge. It was a huge a challenge that I came in like I'm gonna win. Oh, I'm gonna be victorious in this thing. Now, I did again. There were some things that I just was clueless to. I didn't have any understanding. I didn't really, I really didn't really seek too much outside influences because I'm the type of person that I really weigh advice,
Mhm.
and because everybody has an opinion.
Mhm.
Everybody has a way that they think things should go.
Mhm.
Everybody has a viewpoint, but
Mhm.
not everybody has your best interest.
Correct.
And so I had to be careful because while I had a lot of people, I didn't have a lot of people that I knew had my best interest. Just being honest.
Mhm.
Because everybody got, they and to know me is to know that there are certain things I'm not gonna take from you. I don't care. My family know I don't care. That's one thing they know about me. I don't care. You're not going to say something off the rocker to me and think you're gonna get a pass. I don't flow like that. I don't get passes. That's why I was never a hall monitor. I don't get passes. So if you come out incorrectly, I'm gonna have to correct you. And so I was real careful about going to people on what they thought because if I didn't see them interact with you a certain way, then it didn't matter to me what they thought. If I didn't see them interact with my children a certain way, it didn't matter to me what they thought because this was the most important thing to me.
Mhm.
And so that's my spiel on that.
So since hosting or being a part of in the blender, and we may have touched a little bit, actually we didn't.
Mhm.
What would you say has been some of the greatest challenges that families have faced? Like via emails that you've received, calls, text. What has been some of the greatest challenges that a lot of the blended families faced? And why do you think that those are the greatest challenges?
Ooh, it's
I
quite a
mean, it can
few of
just
them.
be it can be
Yeah.
I'm not saying like name all because you
No,
get
no, no,
all
no, no,
kind
no.
of
I'm
things,
just trying
but
to think of like what would
well,
some
and you and I wouldn't even really say greatest because
to
well, we
everybody's
can
great.
say it because because everybody's
It's
challenge
great.
is great to them. And it's not to say that just because this person going through this
Correct.
and this
We're
person
not
going through
minimizing
this, but
anything.
this one is greater than that.
Correct.
So it's just okay, let me just say, what are some of the challenges that some of the listening audience or viewing audience has faced in their blended families? Let me do it like that instead of greatest, because it's great to everybody.
Um. Wow. Oh, okay. This is a good one right here. Um. One of the challenges a lot of people face is family,
And what do you mean by
like in-laws,
oh, okay, okay.
uh, whether it be mother-in-law, father-in-law, sister-in-law, brother-in-law, family.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is I use myself. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna use me. I had a self-made challenge. And my self-made challenge was it was me and you against everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't fairly early on in the beginning give people an opportunity
Agree.
because it was like, I don't really care what y'all think. I don't really care what y'all feel. And so early on, my posture and my position and my attitude was almost like, whatever. Like, like you could think about me what you want to think about me. Now, was that the case? No, it wasn't. But that was a false guard that I felt I needed to put up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to realize, and I realized how that was affecting my family.
Absolutely.
And man, let me tell you something. I've come a long way as it relates to that. I've come a long way as it relates to that.
Yeah, because
And
it caused a lot of challenges.
a lot of unnecessary challenges. A lot of
Yeah.
unnecessary challenges. And there are a lot of people that have those challenges.
Yeah.
A lot of people have those challenges because you have to give people, just like people have to give me an opportunity, I have to give them an opportunity.
Absolutely.
And if we don't give each other opportunity, we don't go into this thing on fair ground.
Absolutely.
And so now everybody has their own opinion about each other when nobody really has the right opinion because you haven't given a person an opportunity to show you anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just because people don't smile, that don't mean they ain't happy. They just ain't smiling. Just because if people don't talk, that don't mean they're not talkative. They just not talking.
Correct.
And so if you don't move past that first layer,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't really know people. And so it came to a point where I was like, you know what, I could either continue doing this, and continue getting this certain type of result, or I can just say, man, listen, get out your own way. Get out your own way, dude, because you're not going nowhere. She's not going nowhere. And either you're going to have a blessed life and family, or you're just going to have voids.
Right. Yeah.
You're going to have voids. And so that's one. Then again, with the family, people don't know how to, like, my wife sisters. My wife has a huge family. You have a huge family.
I do. And love it.
and one thing that I don't do, and people do this all the time, and hey, to each his own, but I've never, ever in 24 years ever called one of your sisters sister-in-law.
Oh, yeah.
I've never called one of your brothers brother-in-law. I've never done that. Why? Because we're one. And so now they're my sisters and they're my brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about family, for me, when we start using titles of in-laws and all these and steps and all these things, there's fractures.
Yeah. Separation.
There's separations because we're one family.
Mm-hmm.
We are one family. And so I never subscribe to those things. And if you do, that's you. I mean, hey, whatever. I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
because my view was greater than that. My greater was a family.
Right.
And so, like when I talk with your sisters, hey sis,
Right.
just like my sister, I don't, my sister is my sister.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the way I view my entire family.
Right. So is that like one of the things too that like people that's reached out to you? Is that something that's been like challenges like in the 4 years of you doing in the blender with emails that you've received from callers or um, people listening or viewing, is that one of the challenges that
Yes,
they
embracing family,
embracing family?
embracing family, and watch this, embracing exes, embracing the biological parents.
Mhm.
Embrace. Listen. I've talked to so many people, man, male and female, that have a serious problem with embracing that biological parent. Dude, that's their parent.
Mhm.
That's your child's other parent. I don't care how things didn't work out for you. I don't care how things ended up. That's still your child's biological parent.
Absolutely.
It amazes me. I mean, when I say amazes me, it amazes me how many people really don't want that individual to succeed. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Mm.
How can you want? Let me talk to the brothers. Dude,
Wait, not yet.
okay. How can you want? I,
Okay, so since you right there,
mm,
what are 3 pointers you would give to fathers going into a blended family?
well, I can't go to the point yet because I got to ask a question. My question is, because I'm
Oh,
asking
okay,
both of
go
them,
ahead.
how can you want the mother of your child not to be successful? Are you that little a man that you want her to struggle? That you want her to fend for her life when she's taken care of or she's a part of the life that you two have brought into this earth? Sis, lady, young woman, are you that little of a woman that you want dude to struggle so that you can feel important? Why don't you feel important for yourself? Why can't they be successful? Why can't you want the best for that person, man? I don't get this thing where people want the biological parent to make less than them. Where they want them to live in a lesser environment than them, in a lesser community than them. So you want your child to come to you and they got all their needs met, and then they gotta go, then they gotta go somewhere else and struggle. What kind of sense does this make? And I'm saying that because it's important, man. Listen, we gotta attack the hard stuff. I didn't get into this to be the popular one. I, I don't get on this every other Tuesday and every Thursday to be anybody but a truth bearer. Period. Like it or not, truth don't always feel good, but it is good because you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. The ultimate goal is to be free. How
Right.
can you be free and your child's mother and father is burned down? How can you be free?
Right.
Seeing the hurt, the pain. Listen, do you understand what children go through in this dynamic?
Because when you understand that it's about them, when you want your children to be happy more than you want that ex to be miserable, you'll do the right things.
Man, I remember I remember we first got married. And I'm gonna talk about my babies. My girls love their father. I mean, this dude was the best thing since sliced bread.
Mhm.
It is what it is. And I remember, man, I remember times of visitation. Dude, don't even worry about it. I got you. Get in the car. When it was time for visitation, He knew he had an ally.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't no thing where he didn't know, hey, Brandon was gonna get them babies over there to him. Why? Because you gotta understand, man. I had the awesome privilege of seeing my father, my biological father, every single night. He just transitioned to go on with the Lord uh, in the middle part of this year. But growing up, I saw my father every night I went to bed. It wasn't a question to me of where he was, what he was doing, what he wasn't doing. I saw him every night. That did wonders for me because I had so many friends that didn't see their father every night. I grew up with so many guys and girls who didn't have their father home every day because their father was living one place, their mother was living another place. And then it was a group that they was with the grandparents. Mm-hmm. And so I understood the importance of that relationship. Right. I understood that. And so I wasn't going to stand in the way of another man being able to have that relationship. Mm-hmm. Because it was making it easy for me. Right. Right. If I was an ally, if I was a friend, then guess what? I didn't have to worry about him dogging me. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to worry about him putting me down and saying all kinds of evil about me because he knew I had his best interest. And his best interest was to have a relationship with his daughters unhindered, the whole 9 yards. Right. That was important. And I mean, we worked this thing. We worked this thing. And so you got to understand, man, that's important. That's important to a child. It's important to a child. A child can have it all. Yep. They can have it all if we give it to them. Mm-hmm. That's an added bonus. It's a bonus when you got an additional mother, when you got an additional father. Not no, them ain't my kids, them your kids. How can you take a spouse and you don't take their kids? Exactly. It's not gonna work. I may not early on been the best father, but they was mine. I was just terrible at my job early on, but they was mine. Because guess what? It's some natural parents that's terrible at the jobs. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But they did. But that's it. That's right. so hey man, I don't care about that. I was, guess what? They was mine. Right. They never were my stepchildren. They never were my never. They were my daughters. Same way with my son. Same exact way. I knew the effects of me not being there, what it was having on him. Mm-hmm. And fought hard for that not to happen. And that's why I'm so adamant about this thing and so passionate about it, because there was another party that didn't see what I was seeing. Right. And she wouldn't subscribe to what I was selling. Because I'm trying to say, hey, listen, the harder you try to keep me out of this, the more damage you're going to cause later on. Yeah. And when you prideful, man, and you arrogant and you just want it your way, most times people don't think about the children. Yep. They don't think about the effect it's going to have on them. Yeah. And from what I've seen, it has the greatest effect on them, especially if they're younger. The greatest effect, man. Actually, even when they're older. Any age, really. Even when they're older. You know. even when they older. I mean, we still having talks, still having conversations. You know what I'm saying, about making this the best family unit possible.
Yeah.
Still having those conversations, still having conversations with my daughters, still having conversations with my son. Why? Because every day we're striving, we're pressing towards that mark.
Yeah, and it's necessary.
It's necessary.
It's necessary.
It's necessary. And so those are the things, man. And so, um, wow, yeah, yeah.
So did you tie in 3 pointers that you would give to fathers going into a blended family? You
Um,
kind of.
well, man, those are your kids. Those are your kids. Those are your kids. Those are your kids. That's a pointer. That's a pointer. Those are
1,
your
2, and 3.
kids. Because if you're in that home, if they're in that home with you, everything in that home is yours. Those are your kids, dude. Young lady, those are your kids. I mean, my kids, they are your kids. Let me tell you, a child will say anything because that's what children do. That does not mean that's how they feel or think. That's just what they do. That's just what they do. Because guess what? 20 years from now, they're going to tell you they looked at you as their mother. They looked at you as their father, and you didn't fulfill that role. Believe me on that. You're going to get it. That's what they do. So you got to be the mature one.
Right.
You're the adult.
Absolutely.
Those are your children. You have the voice, man. You can. Parents' sole responsibility is to shoot their children in the direction they should go. That's our responsibility, to shoot our children in the direction they should go.
Absolutely.
But you can't shoot a child that you don't own. Because watch this. If you don't shoot them, the streets will. Yep. If you don't shoot them, somebody else will. Who wants a child that somebody has a bigger voice than you do? But that's what happens when you don't take that role. When you don't take that responsibility. Mm-hmm. I remember telling the girl's father, I said, listen, this is a privilege for me. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm a believer in sowing and reaping.
Right.
Some people say karma. Some people say, well, what goes around comes around. All of the same thing. Mm-hmm. I'm a firm believer in that. So even while I wasn't there with my son, I didn't want to make these girls' life difficult because I didn't want somebody making his life difficult. Uh-huh. I didn't want to not step up to the plate with them because I wasn't with his mother. And if she got a relationship, I wanted somebody to step up to the plate with him. Right. And so understand this, guys, when you take that posture, man, you're sowing something. Mm-hmm. And just make sure what you're sowing, you're ready to reap.
Right. Absolutely.
That you're willing to reap. Yep. And so that's why it was so important to me to take that position. Mm-hmm. So that's a nugget for you guys, man. Take that ownership. And then love. Love covers. Yeah. Love covers. There's some things about you that need covering. There's some things about them that need covering. Absolutely. Love covers, man. Love covers.
Absolutely.
Hear me when I tell you guys, love covers. This one right here is, she is the epitome, the poster child. She is the poster child of that. My wife is the poster child because I'm a piece of work, as you might can tell. I, I, I got some moments and some times where it's like, check yourself. And she's been able to, in spite of, love me. Uh, Regardless, love me. And I'm not talking about that he find love. I'm talking about that godly love, that love that covers. Now, don't get me wrong, I am fine. don't, don't get.
Oh Lord.
She knew that was coming. Don't get me wrong now. The brother is fine. don't mistake this. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that love that looks beyond. That love that seeks to cover instead of exposing. And so there, because in this blended family, man, I found out, man, that this is a huge nugget. Stop trying to expose stuff, man. I mean, really. I mean, if it's something to share that's going to be a benefit, if it's something to share with people that's going to bring light to what they're dealing with, then yes, right, by all means. But this thing where you're trying to make him look bad and you're trying to make her look bad, no, man, listen. My son's mother, she decided to do some things. She had to live with that. Me talking about that is not to make her look bad. It's to say it could have been better if we both were on the same page. Things could have been better for him had we both been on the same page. But the ultimate person that got to deal with that is her. I'm the ultimate person that got to deal with my decisions. Because I shouldn't even have never got in that relationship. And I've talked about that. I've talked about that where I know God said, don't do it, but my flesh. that was my, see, when you can be honest about you, a lot of this drama people dealing with, babe, it's simply because they don't want to be honest about them. I wouldn't even have a discussion had I not did some things. Because I had an opportunity to walk away. I had an opportunity to walk away. That's why you got to understand, man. If you so driven by a look, it ain't much to you. If you so driven by tall, dark, and handsome, he's supposed to be short, bald, and fat. Oh God, you're gonna miss it. You are going to miss it because things change, seasons change. And for most don't stay the same. Most don't stay the same. If you all caught on this Coca-Cola bottle, and you remember that was back in the day saying Coca-Cola bottle, and this 36, 24, 38. I don't know what kind of dynamics that is. That's just nasty. But if you so caught on that, because that's that image they seeing now. She got to have a waist this big and a butt that big. And if that's your driving force, then guess what? That don't stay the same. You ever heard of gravity? Things drop, things shift, things move. And so, if that's the driving force, but that was my problem though. I had an image. It was this image that I was stuck on. And that image wasn't for me. That image wasn't for me. Now, my wife is that image, but that image wasn't for me. And so, when you're driven by that, man, you put yourself in a position that here we are. But you can't move past it because you're still frustrated by all that stuff. You mad because you knew you shouldn't have got in that position. Now you don't want the best for that person. Now you don't want that person to thrive and to strive. You know, a happy child, man, and somebody that have two successful parents,
Yeah.
two loving parents, that's a happy child, whether they're together or not.
Yep. Yep.
Whether they are together or not, because that child is getting it from both angles.
Absolutely.
They're getting it from both ends, not just one.
That's why it's good to be able to co-parent like well.
Well.
You know, co-parent well.
Co-parent
Set aside all the personal issues that you've had. And that's why I say when you place that child first, when you want more for your child than you want less for that ex-spouse, hey, you'll do things a little bit better.
I'm gonna tell you something now. My wife, her ex-husband, that dude can see okay.
Oh yeah.
He can cook for me any day. He could cook for me any day. He don't even know, man. I'm about to hire this dude, man. He gonna be my chef. He can cook for me any day. This dude cooked so good. I remember one time he cooked, and when I tell you, man, that food was so good, I ate till I was almost sick. I was sick.
You ate till you were sick.
I ate till I was sick, and I should have stopped a long time ago. But it was so good.
No, but the funny part about that is not so much that where it was that you ate till you got sick, but out of that, now every time we're around,
he makes sure I don't eat too much.
Now it's like he always got to like check and say, you all right, you ain't eating too much.
He watching me making sure I'm not eating too much. He like, are you good? Yeah, man, I'm good. You sure?
Oh no.
You ain't eat too much, are you? Nah, I'm good. Now, I'm gonna stop right here. And if I get up, he watching me. Like, don't go back in. Don't go back in there. Don't go. But that's funny though.
Yeah, it is.
Because even out of that, he was the one that was concerned. He was the one that wanted to make sure I was fine. Mm-hmm. And that's just the kind of relationship, man, that you should ultimately have.
And that takes us right into talking about relationship building. Talk a little bit about relationship building.
It's imperative. It's important. It's the number one thing. It's like up there, man. Like that relationship. That relationship should be so fluid that everybody knows is good. Because we're grown, we're mature. We've made a decision, we've moved on, but that don't mean we got to be enemies.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean that we can't be cordial.
Right.
That doesn't mean that we're not family, because we are. He's a part of our family. She's a part of our family. We're still family. Regardless of where we are now, we're still family. Yep. Yep. That's something that you have to understand. We're still family.
Absolutely. because now that they grown, now there's grandkids. So you still, there's times where you're still in the same space. And being in the same space, you want it to be happy times, not frustration, not feeling uncomfortable and what's another word? Unwanted or go ahead.
No, I think back now. We talked about Walt, but let's talk about his mother.
Oh yeah.
Listen, guys, let me tell you how intent I was on not having this riff. And I work hard, man, on both ways, on both ends. Believe me. The girl's father, biological father, his mother loved me. This lady like love me like we because we drop the girls off. Sometimes we drop them off over her house.
Mm-hmm.
You know when she was here, and I mean we would sit there. It wasn't no bop bop. We blow the horn and the girls get out. They run in the house or whatever. No, we get out the car. We go sit down and just chop it up.
Mm-hmm.
Chop it up. And she, baby, you want something to eat? Got some food on the stove. I mean, like, it wasn't no, like, you really gonna bring him in my house? I didn't have to deal with that. I didn't have to deal with her saying, like, really? Like, how, you got the nerve to bring that dude in my house? No. No, because she knew, hey, this, he different. He different. He different. He might ain't got all everything together, but he different. And I had that relationship until she transitioned.
Mm-hmm.
All the way up until she transitioned, man. Whenever we would go there, just nothing but love. Wasn't no quick visits, no 5-minute visits. We may have been intending to drop and roll,
Right.
but it never worked out that way.
Right.
And so, oh yeah. I just had a thought on that one.
Yeah. So what about what are your thoughts on like family meetings, premarital counseling, family counseling, family
Important,
meetings?
important, 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 necessary, necessary, necessary. All of them. They're important, they're necessary. It's important to get counseling. Had we had counseling, I know we would have still got married, but we would have done a whole lot of things differently.
You know?
Oh man, yeah, I know. Because I knew you was the one. So it wasn't for me, it wasn't any other question. It wasn't any other question. I wasn't no dating type of dude, but you was the only one that went to go see my parents. You was the only one that ever went around my family. So for me, it was a knowing. I knew. Now I can't say what you knew. I can't say what you knew, but I know what I knew. You might have just thought I was good at holding your pocketbook.
Oh Lord.
Oh, it's an inside joke.
Yeah.
Oh man. But I knew. I knew. So I mean, yeah, it wasn't a question. But those things are important because there's so many things, man, that people say hindsight is 2020. That's just because now you got the answers.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You got the answers that you wish you would have had looking back. And so, yeah, let me see that right there.
This?
Yeah, that's why we got this right here, man. Listen, email us. We'll send you a copy. Email us. We are
A blended family at gmail.com.
we are blended family at gmail.com. This right here is the ABCs of the blended family. We just take you, man, straight from A to Z. A nugget. Each alphabet has a nugget. that will transform your life. I'm telling you, these are things that we use over the last 20 plus years and are still using. They will bless your life.
Short read, but good read, helpful read.
That's right. Because short reads are more retainable.
Mm-hmm.
This is something we want you to retain, man. It's something we want you to retain because it's life changing. It's the little leaven that leavened the whole lump. It's the little things. It's those little things, man, that get people so far off course. You ever have an encounter with somebody that was a small encounter, but it just blew up to something big? It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. And so it's important, man. Listen, email us. We are blendedfamily@gmail.com. Get your copy. We'll send it to you. We will send it to you. We want you to have it, man. It's going to bless you.
Well, the first ones that send it because we don't have a whole lot left.
First 15 people, man. First
I don't
15
even know
people.
if we have 15 left. So the first whoever.
Well, 15 people send it. You know, if we got 15, we send it. We don't, we don't. You know, I mean, because we just want to be a blessing.
Sold out when
we just want to be a blessing. And so it's important. But yeah, counseling, man, is important. Family meetings are important. We started off, we day one having family meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Day one, you know, what do you guys think about this?
Well, not really. Not
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't ask a lot of questions.
We asked a lot of questions. We just gave a lot of answers.
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't to the degree where we're saying, but it was something that we were always doing. We were always meeting. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
We were always meeting. Now, to this degree, we weren't always doing that, but we were always meeting. Always. We just, I mean, especially for me,
hey, Chief.
I didn't, you know, growing up in the home, I had, hey fam, I had freeway and free course to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
I had that. And but what I didn't do is I didn't offer it. I had it, but I didn't offer it. And so because I didn't offer it, I didn't give my family the voice that they should have had and that they could have had. And so that's important, man. Give your family a voice. Because if their voice isn't important in the house, it's not going to be important outside the house.
Right.
And so that's important, man. Give them a voice. And I had to learn that the hard way. Give them a voice. You'd rather give them a voice instead of them giving you their voice. Because trust me, sooner or later they're gonna give you their voice. So you would rather give them a voice, give them a space, a safe space to be able to discuss things, and you all grow, than you not give them that voice, and then you hinder them from having a voice.
Right. Right. We don't have a lot of time left, but in our moments that we do have, talk about gratefulness. What role does gratefulness play in the success of your marriage, your blended family, and business?
Grateful plays everything, man. Everything. Because understand this, guys. To have a family, that's to be grateful enough. Because there are a lot of people, man, that are by themselves. And people talk all they want to. I'm good by myself. You're lying. Mm-hmm. You're lying.
Everybody needs somebody.
Believe that. We weren't even created to be by ourselves. Even God said it's not good that man should be alone. And you talking about you good. That's why you so mean and nasty and ornery. That's why you so deceptive and sneaky and lying all the time, because you good by yourself and you think you the only one exists. No, everybody needs somebody, man. And that just to have a family dynamic, I was grateful. I was grateful to get an opportunity to help raise some kids. I was grateful in that respect because I wasn't in that position with my son. Mm-hmm. So I was grateful in that respect. I was grateful to be a husband because I was a divorcee. Right. And so, man, it was like, I was grateful to be able to be in a position where I can give advice. Mm-hmm. I can give it. I remember our middle daughter. I never forget this conversation. And she asked me. She said, "Why you don't like tight jeans?" Oh man! In my mind, I want to say, "Girl, you do not love me some tight jeans now." But I had to explain to her it wasn't a not liking it. It was an understanding that I'm a man and I know how men think. And don't you think at all that a man that don't cross a man's mind. For real? What? And for me, especially with daughters, you want somebody that's going to respect you for you, that's going to love you for you in all your fineness, in all your sexiness, in all your attractiveness, that's not the dominating decision maker for them wanting to be in a relationship with you, because that's how I entered my first marriage. That was it. It had nothing to do with qualities and character and morals. Had nothing to do with any of those things. It was just based off of a look. And so guess what? That's just what I got. I got a look. And that look wasn't the look that I thought I wanted. And so I had to explain to her, listen, if that's going to be the determining factor for a young man getting into a relationship with you, then both of y'all going to miss out. Both of y'all going to miss out. Because let me be clear on this, and I want to say this before we move on.
Yeah, we ain't got but 2 minutes.
Well, good. I'm going to say this in my closing. And I'm glad I'm closing with this. I made life just as rough for my ex-wife as she did for me. What do you mean? I should have left her alone. But because I didn't leave her alone, I put her in a position that she had to deal with some things for 20 some odd years. See, that's big boy stuff. So, and I wanted to be clear, because a lot of times when I'm talking, it just sounds like I'm talking from one aspect, but the truth of the matter is, I don't want to do that. I started that. I put that ball in motion. And so the things that I had to deal with was because I put that ball in motion. Regardless of the contributions that was made, I put that ball in motion. And had I not put that ball in motion, it wouldn't be a conversation. It wouldn't be a conversation. And so, and that's important, man, because there are people watching right now and you pointing fingers when you put the ball in motion.
We have to take responsibility for our own. Our responses, our responsibility.
Our responses.
And response isn't always just verbal. response is action, all of it.
Whole
Our
9 yards.
response is our responsibility.
Listen, man, I'm grateful even for this interview. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that you guys are tuned in to In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. We thank you guys for your faithfulness and tuning in with us. Going on 5 years doing this broadcast. Man, this thing has gone global, and we're so grateful. You can email us at weareblendedfamily@gmail.com. You can watch us on YouTube. What's all the mediums, baby?
We're Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook Live. Also Thursday nights, they can listen to the broadcast on WJMS Radio as well. That's Thursday nights from 8 to 9 p.m.
And so, man, listen, I'm excited. I like this interview thing, but this is our last interview.
Yes.
And so we pray that something we shared has been a blessing and that it will be a blessing. Continue to like and share so that others may be blessed. Again, don't forget to order your book. You can reach us at weareablendedfamily@gmail.com. Email us to get a copy of the book while supplies last. And until next time, peace.
Good night, guys. Love you guys.